could take credit for this, but I can't. But there are 48 cupcakes. I don't know what happened to the 49th, but there's 48 cupcakes for everybody here. So grab one or two on the way out.
This is extremely kind and touching. I'm very touched by the dessert. And
Well, I don't know that I've ever had a press conference on my actual birthday. I'm not really sure. I don't recall.
That's what you always wanted for your birthday.
Yeah, yeah. So this has the markings of Kathleen Swinney for sure. But anyway, it's also Reagan Upshaw's birthday today. He's one of our linebackers, so he and I share the same birthday. But it's really a great day, and first of all, I want to say Happy Thanksgiving to everyone here. We got some of the wives here today. Looks like, but happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your families. Hope everybody have an opportunity to take some time. And we got, really Thanksgiving should be a lifestyle. We got so much to be thankful for. If you can wake up and you got breath in your body and man, good health. You got everything that you really need. So thankful for that. But this is an exciting week. It's the season for us, as y'all know, and then South Carolina. This is a goal of its own for us. It's important to obviously everybody in this state. It's a lot of fun to be able to participate in rivalry games. It's something that's kind of just been woven into my life my entire 49 years. It's been that way for me. So it's always a special week. Really all over the country. You think about all the great games going on. Clemson, South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn. You got Michigan, Ohio State, Mississippi, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Georgia. Virginia Tech. I mean, it just goes on and on. So a lot of good stuff going on in the country this week, and it's an exciting time for everybody. And again, we've got Thanksgiving to be a part of it. South Carolina, they're 6-4, but man, they had two really close losses that they could have gone the other way, and they're sitting here 8-2. And I think that that's kind of who they are. I think that they're a team that's capable of playing with everybody that they play with, and they've had some injuries and things like that along the way. But this is a team that you can definitely see has grown in their confidence and has improved. And again, I know they had a couple of tough, really close losses, but it's a good football team. And Will's done a great job in building this program and getting them in a situation where they can compete really with everybody that they played. And again, I've had a couple of tough losses go against them, but they've also had some really good wins. They've battled hard. They're playing with a lot of good chemistry, and you can see that on tape. Defensively, man, they're really good up front. They got a bunch of guys. They've had some guys injured, so there's still a few question marks on kind of who all is going to actually line up for them on defense. But looking at the totality of their season and the guys that we competed against last year, there's some really good football players, man. Number 8, he's as good as there is out there, especially when he's been healthy. 6 is a good player. All these guys up front have played a lot of football. They'll probably get 22 back. I think he's a really good player. 16 is an outstanding player for him at corner. Very active. 6 has played a ton of football for them in the middle. So good team. And then offensively, I think that this is one of the better groups that we've seen. Bentley he's got a great arm. He's accurate. He's playing with a lot more confidence, as he should. He's an experienced football player. He has a good grasp of what they're doing. I think they're good up front. I think Zach Bailey is a great player. And, I think that they have run the ball with much more consistency than maybe they did last year. I think they've been a little more committed to that. And they've set up some nice play action plays off of it, some RPOs. They do a good job with their screen game and boots and taking some shots down the field. They got some really good receivers. 89 he's a big-bodied player that is a veteran player. He's made some huge plays for them. He's a matchup problem, you know, from just a sheer size standpoint. And then you throw in 13 and 1. You know, those are two of the best we've seen. Really, really good players. One is as good a player as we've seen all year. He's a game changer. I mean, he's a guy that you better bring everything you got and wrap up because he's so good with the ball in his hands, and he's so good at breaking tackles and yards after the contact. And then he does it. I don't think he gets enough credit for finishing plays on balls in the air. You know, I mean, he's not like Brian, you know, a tall wideout, but he plays big. He does a great job finishing balls, and same thing with 13. He's not a tall guy either, but he plays long. Good ball skills. He's a matchup problem in the slot. They've played 4 backs, you know, really all year, and I think all those guys have done a nice job. You know, AJ is a veteran guy for him, been around. Dabo, I'm assuming will be back for him. I think he's a heck of a player. 34 is a sledgehammer for him. You know, but everything's going to go through this quarterback and this offensive line. And you know, again, I think that they've done a nice job, you know, from a scheme standpoint and how they have created angles in the run game. They've done a good job with their empty package and formation in the boundary and trying to create some, like I said, opportunistic opportunities to run the football. And so good matchup. This will be a heck of a matchup Saturday night. We're excited about it. Special teams is something that can be a huge factor in this game, especially with their returners. But again, this is what it's all about. You know, this is a one-game season for us, and I know it's important to both sides. And for us, our focus is on just trying to finish and play our very best 4 quarters of the season. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, other than having Dabo healthy this year, do you think the biggest difference for them offensively is their tempo, and how much do you think playing Wake Forest and Syracuse will help in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of tempo teams, and we're a tempo team, but I think Brian, their offensive coordinator, has done a great job for them. I mean, he really has. He's a heck of a coach, and you can see his influence is in their style of play and the confidence that they're playing with, and just against some of their formationing and some of the things that they're doing in the run game. But, you know, definitely the addition of 1 and 13. 13 didn't play last year either, I believe, and you got those 2 guys. You get better in a hurry. They're 2 really good football players that they didn't have, and they're just more confident. And again, I think the consistency and the continuity throughout the whole season has really helped them. And then Bentley's he's a really good football player.
You mentioned Brian Edwards. Just what about him makes him such a good player? What did y'all see in him? I know y'all recruited him.
Yeah, we did. Well, he's big and got a great body for the position. He's long. He's got great jumping ability, good body control. He changes direction. You know, runs with the ball well after the catch, and he's a very competitive kid. You know, and that's why we liked him a lot in high school. I mean, he played both sides of the ball. He played everything. He played D-end, tight end, receiver, linebacker, safety. He was an athlete that played all over the field. He might have even played a little quarterback. I can't remember, but he's a really good football player and a good kid.
Between Thanksgiving and the emotions of rivalry, how do you, on a practical level, keep the players and the coaches, everybody just locked in on the game?
Well, we have a plan, a preparation plan in place that we believe in, and that really doesn't change much. The biggest change in this week is obviously this is a game that's a little more personal because you kind of live with it, you know, in your community every single day, everywhere you go. So there's always you know, you got a little juice like that you may not have if you're playing Duke. But for us, every game is the biggest game of the year. So we create that mindset every week, all year. our preparation doesn't change, whether we're playing Furman to open the season or South Carolina to end the season. Our preparation doesn't change. And I think that's the biggest thing, is it creates continuity and belief in what you do. We don't, all right, we got to practice longer this week, or we don't. That's to me, that sends the wrong message. You put your best in every week. The best you got every single week is for us a championship game. That's what we try to create in our mindset. So the preparation there's zero difference, with the exception of we do have Thanksgiving, so they're out of school, Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, so that's different. And so you have to manage that. And so we've got a Thanksgiving plan that we've always kind of had in place, that we believe in. It allows us to, as coaches and as a team, to get our preparation in the way we need to, but also be able to take the time and give them, our players, the time to celebrate Thanksgiving. So we do that. It's just kind of a part of our week. That's the only difference in the week. But as far as the emotion of the week and all that, emotion don't win. Execution wins. Most fired up team ain't gonna win the game. It's the team that takes care of the ball and does a good job on third down and makes a difference in special teams and wins in the red zone and can run the ball, stop the run, block, tackle. That's who wins.
You've been a part of two great rivalries now, and you mentioned so many across the country. Are they all, do you consider them all kind of pretty much the same as far as intensity and all that goes into it, or is there maybe a little bit of a unique one to each? Does this kind of compare and contrast to the Alabama-Auburn one?
Well, it's hard for me to, it's hard for me to speak on a bunch of these others because I haven't been a part of them. But I find it hard to believe that there's any rivalries any better than the two that I've been a part of. And for me, as I've said many times, I had 13, I was a part of, as a player and a coach, 13 Alabama-Auburn games. So I've been there, done that. And then obviously grew up in the state as a fan and experienced that side of it. And then this is my 16th Clemson, South Carolina game. So I've done it a lot. And the similarities between those two rivalries, there ain't no difference to me. It's because I think our states are so similar. There's no pro sports. It's high school football, it's college football. People are passionate about it. I think demographics are similar, and you gotta be one or the other. And it's kind of what people talk about all the time. Some form of fashion. And so I think from a passion standpoint, an intensity that kind of consumes the state and then kind of carries over into the off season. I think that there's nothing better than these two rivalries that I've been a part of. I think they're very much the same. The biggest difference is we're not in the same conference. That's the biggest difference. When I was at Alabama, obviously, you're not only in the same conference, same division. But that's really the only layer that we don't have, is we're not competing for a conference in addition to everything else that we're talking about.
Dabo, going back
Wilkins
down.
was announced for several awards the other day. What is it like to be coaching him throughout his career?
It's been amazing. He's very deserving of all the awards that he's being recognized for. He's a Nagurski finalist. I think he's an Outland finalist now, and the one I'm most excited about is the Campbell Award. To me, the Campbell Award that's the Heisman for a football player, because it's a student athlete. It's the epitome, and so I've been to that banquet so many years. In every December up there in New York, and I've always said, man, one of these days, God, I hope we can have a player on that stage. So I'm so excited about that award, because it's not just football, and so that's exactly who he is. It's been amazing to watch him for 4 years. He's my first 2-time curtain call guy ever as a senior. He's a 2.5-year graduate who came back to college, who just plays relentless every single snap. I mean, he is so much fun to watch play, to grade. He loves to be coached. He loves to be coached. He loves to be challenged. He's an unbelievable leader, and you know, just likes it. I mean, he likes practice. He just is one of those guys that truly lives in the moment each and every day. And I just think he's such a breath of fresh air when you're dealing with young people, and just what he brings every single day. Obviously as a player, but just his commitment, his details, his preparation, his leadership, his encouragement to his teammates, his challenge to his teammates, all across the board. I mean, he's definitely one of the most unique young people I've ever had the privilege to be around.
Did you learn anything about Renfro last night?
Yeah, he's doing good. Nothing's changed. Just gonna be day to day, and you know, hoping for the best.
Dabo, going back to your inaugural season, your interim season, and you played South Carolina, that game kind of endeared you to the fans here. What did you learn that year about this rivalry? You'd been on the staff prior to that, but what that game, what did it tell you about this rivalry?
Not much, because like I said, I had already been a part of I guess that was my sixth game. I think that was my sixth game. So really nothing different. I mean, I had lived in those first five, and I knew how important it was, you know, living in the community, being a part, going out on the road recruiting. You know, people have no idea who you are, and they judge you instantly because you got a logo on your shirt. You know, that's the way it was in Alabama. That's the way it is here. So I had kind of lived that in this state. So I knew. I mean, there was really anything different that I learned about the rivalry. That game. That game was just, you know, probably the reason I got the job. You know, maybe I would have still got a shot, but I think after that was definitely, you know, the final piece to say, okay, hey, let's give him an opportunity, see what he can do.
Coach, so much has been made about potentiality of winning 5 in a row against South Carolina. You are 5-5 against the Gamecocks. How much would it mean to you to have a winning record against those guys?
Well, it's important, you know. I mean, that's something that I think we've done a good job with all of our goals, and but you know, we still got some work to do there, and you know, I just want to win every year. You know, every year is important. Every year is a season of its own. It stands alone, and the biggest thing we wanted to do was obviously to become more consistent in achieving this goal, and so we've done that. But we got off to a slow start. And, you know, hopefully we can continue to, you know, have good consistency in this rivalry. But you know, I want to win, not for me. I want to win for our team. I want to win for our fans, and you know, I want to be one of the few 12-0 teams in college football. You know, there's not many 12-0 teams at any program historically. So this is a you know, be a great achievement for this group. It's not about me.
Does the state have a noticeable impact on recruiting, especially in-state recruits when it comes to when you go and see them?
Yeah, not really.
Also, it's not that big a deal.
Not really, because we you know, occasionally there's a guy or two that we recruit against, and it was that way when I was in Alabama. You know, there's just really. First of all, the programs are very different, just from a sheer, you know, geography, location, the whole deal. And most kids that have grown up in this state, they're usually one or the other. Sometimes, you know, a guy may transition one way, but it's usually not the case. And so we don't really recruit a lot against each other. You know, there's a few kids here and there, but when you look at our state and just the sheer population of our state, we don't have a huge number of a big pool of prospects, you know, for this level, you know, as compared to Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, some of the states like that. I mean, Atlanta has more people than pretty much our whole state. So, you know, just population-wise, our pool is not big for either school. And then you throw in academics and the requirements there, character, you know, your need. You know, you have to fill your need, and you might have a great player, but you don't have a need for that position. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics, and so when it all comes down to it, there's usually not many guys. And then it's, well, this kid's grown up Clemson, or this kid's grown up South Carolina. So it's really more the exception that we have a lot of heated in-state recruiting battles. Most of the kids that if we do recruit against are usually out-of-state kids, but even then, I think you know, we're just so different. You know, if a kid really likes Columbia, well, Clemson is a whole different setting. If a kid really likes Clemson, and the setting of Clemson, and Columbia is very different. So I think that that kind of, you know, changes that dynamic. You would think that we would spend a lot of time recruiting against each other, but we really don't.
Has enough time passed since that 5-game losing streak to dim your memory, or do you still lament those defeats?
Yeah, I'm feeling lugubrious today. I'm still lugubrious. Thanks for asking. I'm still lamenting that. Where is that guy? See here?
Absent.
Anyway, yeah, I got some good laughs out of that. Yeah, no, I'm still very lugubrious. You know, it's not happy. That was a tough stretch for sure, and hopefully, you know, listen, at some point they're gonna beat us again. I mean, this is life. This is football. Hopefully not in my lifetime. That'd be great. Hopefully not this year, and hopefully not, you know, the next many years. But chances are, eventually they're gonna win a game. And I think for me, I just want to make sure that we can, you know, keep our program consistent and continue to have a good program, and year in and year out, you know, have a chance to compete consistently in this championship, but also our league and beyond.
You mentioned you were go out and get judged by the logo you wore. You saw the back and forth of the fans in the Auburn, Alabama. You've seen it in this, and you kind of now take it in stretch. Brent mentioned yesterday that, you know, he was surprised, like in little league games, you'd be taking flack.
Oh yeah.
Have you just kind of,
Yeah.
have you kind of embedded in the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've grown up with that. So, yeah, I get it. It is surprising sometimes that, you know, parents, you know, allow their kids to speak to adults sometimes, but, you know, I just keep on moving. That's just kind of, everybody's got a parent the way I guess they, you know, what's acceptable to some parents is not acceptable to other parents. And, you know, I used to always, you know, take pictures. Yeah, I take pictures of anybody. I don't really care. I mean, you know, Gamecock fans, I don't have any ill will toward anybody. You know, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team, or we should be. You know, in a bigger picture. But sometimes, you know, people coming up and I think taking pictures and trying to five-bomb you, and you know, and parents having fun with that, and you know, I would never allow my kids to do that. And I think that's probably what he's talking about. But you know, hey, that's me. You know, everybody's got a parent the way they want to parent. But as far as the normal, you know, you stink and, you know, go Gamecocks and roll Tide and all that, I mean, that's good fun. That goes both ways.
Is there extra juice this week, knowing that in 2013 the off season was full of 5 bombs, and now it's you have a chance to win 5 in a row?
No, you won't see me doing any 5 bombs or any of that stuff. If we were to win, I'll just be happy that we won the game. You know, I'm all about what's in front of us and what's after that.
What would it mean to you and the team to wrap up a regular season perfect at home this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's more what I think is you know, I mean, yeah, it's great to beat our rival. And, all right, yeah, you beat them 5 times in a row. Well, great. Nobody's going to care next year. You know, it's you don't get to carry over any of the plays. You got to prove it every year. To me, that's a huge deal. I mean, there's been 2 12-0 teams in the history of our school. 81 and 15. 15?
48, 48.
Is that right? 48 was 11-0, right? So I mean, you know, even if you go to any school, how many 12-0 teams have there been at any program? I mean, there's probably just a handful. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to do. You know, it's very hard. Just look around college football. There's what, 3 or 4 undefeated teams. I mean, it's just hard to win week in and week out. And I have such great respect for this team in how we've played. You know, from a totality standpoint, in these previous 11 games. I mean, they just have had this incredible will to win. They've had this incredible will to prepare week in and week out. That would be an unbelievable accomplishment in this day and age, to be able to go 12-0. You look around college football and all the parity, and I mean, anybody can beat anybody on any given week, and to have that type of consistency. I think you tell me we've played more teams. It's not like we played, you know, the Village Idiot University. I mean, we've played the most teams in the country that have 7 or more wins. I think we played 7 of those teams. Is that what you said? 7 teams, and I think maybe the next team out there in the country's played 4 or 5. So that's impressive. And you know, offensively, these guys have been consistent. And we scored 27 points or more every game, 11 games in a row, first time in school history. And defensively, you know, these guys have been stingy, man. So I'm just really proud of our team, and so I would love more than anything to see them be able to finish and to be able to be one of those 12-0 teams that's rare in college football.
Coach,
I don't know if you caught any of Monday Night Football last night between the Rams and the Chiefs, or if you've seen those teams play at all this season, but when you see the college concepts working so successfully in the NFL, was a little bit of like, I told you so, or are you surprised to see that?
I'm not surprised, and it's kind of what I saw coming, you know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. It's exactly what happened for us. I mean, the pool changed, and, you know, people used to always come in here. I remember when I first got the job, it was like, well, you're never going to be good on defense running this offense. You know, that was, and I remember I'm like, well, I don't think we have enough data to make that statement. You know, that sounds good from all the old school football people that make these comments, but I don't think we have enough data. I think we just kind of wait and see. And we've been pretty good on defense in the past 10 years around here, doing what we do on offense. And, I think it all comes down to, you know, recruiting and obviously coaching and development, how you practice, how you train, you know, all that stuff. Understanding of the game, understanding of what you got to do to be successful. But for me, the pool's changing in high school. You know, high school coaches had to really adapt and change. Forever and ever, it was pro football down to high school football, and it's completely upside down because, like I said, the high school coaches competing with year-round sports and lacrosse and all these things, they had to make changes. You know, nobody's going to just come out there and run the option every day and get an I formation like I grew up doing, because there's more options. They go play video games. They play year-round sports. You know, they do whatever. So high school coaches changed, and they created 7-on-7s. There's no such thing as a 7-on-7 when I was playing football. You know, 7-on-7. It's unheard of. You know, you just got your butt in the weight room. You know, go out there and run a few routes. But you know, tournaments and that's helped get kids from the AAU basketballs and year-round baseball, and it made it fun. And then all of a sudden, the position changed at quarterback, and styles of play, and that's kind of who we're recruiting. That pool changed, and so as you've seen the college game change, the rules have changed, and then now you've seen the exact same thing. I mean, Tom Brady's been doing it for several years. I mean, in a shotgun all the time, and throwing screen games and play action RPO. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So no, I'm not surprised at all. I'm surprised that there's no defense, but I think that's just, you know, some of the rules, and then the defensive side not quite catching up yet. But it will. I mean, eventually they'll tighten up on that level too, and have a different understanding what's going on. I just think it's kind of newer for that level. It's kind of the norm in college football, so it's interesting to see the kind of the transition. You know, and these guys that so-called aren't prepared for the pro game and all that baloney that is so laughable. I used to laugh at that stuff. You know, like they're going to run different routes. They don't run different routes. They're the same routes. But it's just that's why you're seeing these guys go be successful, because the good coaches are taking advantage of the skill sets that these guys have.
Dabo, when you communicate with Spurrier now, do y'all just sort of laugh at a lot of the stats that y'all had that had everybody in a tizzy back then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. In fact, he called me a couple weeks ago after we won the beat Boston. He called me and just congratulated me, left me a nice message. And yeah, we and then this is kind of the time where I'll be with him. I usually am around him in the December, January time. I'll be with him 2 or 3 different times, and we'll cut up, have some fun. We had a couple events last year. You know, he messed up and let me have the mic last. He had it first twice. So yeah, we go back and forth, man. I'm glad Coach Spurrier's back in coaching, and I'm really excited. I'm excited about this new league, first of all, and the opportunity that it's going to create for so many good football players to have a chance to go, make a living playing. And I think it's going to be a ton of fun, man. Hadn't really been a lot said about it as of right now. I guess they're just kind of waiting to make a push in January, but I think it's going to be awesome, and he'll be fun to watch. So he's excited about it, but definitely glad he's going to be back on the sideline.
You were with Coach Spurrier. You were his guest at the College Football Hall of Fame dinner last December. What was that like for you?
Well, I was surrounded by Gators and Gamecocks, so it was. I got a lot of looks when I walked in there, but it was great. Everybody was very gracious, and he had a couple jokes, and we had some fun, and it was an unbelievable event. They had it at a really cool spot somewhere down by the river. I don't know, it was like an event center or something, but it was great. Met a lot of neat people, and got to meet a lot of his Duke. That Duke team, some of the Duke was there too, a lot of those folks. So it's pretty cool to be a part of it and be invited, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, but having gone through a losing streak to this series today on the winning side, but can you go back to what it was like for your players, the frustration of going through that, and how much they wanted to end it, and then kind of relate that to what South Carolina might be going through?
Yeah. You got to play well, and if you go back and you look at the 5-game losing streak, I think we had 15 turnovers to their 3, and and they were really good. It's not like they were a terrible team, and we were really good. There was 2 of I thought 2 of those years they were just flat out better than us, and we might have had a chance. But like I said, we had 15 turnovers to 3. I believe that's the actual number in that 5-game deal. And even Coach Spurrier, he called me after one of them. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know why y'all just turn that ball over every time y'all play us. I don't know, And I'm like, heck, I don't know either. And he's like, "Yeah, well, we're in trouble. Y'all just turn that ball over." And I'm like, I don't know either, But because the teams played hard, and again, I thought 3 of the years we were definitely as good, if not a little better, but we didn't do what we needed to do to win. We competed, we had good plans and all that stuff. We had some tough breaks, and when the teams are pretty even, like they were, you can't overcome some of those mistakes. I think the one year down there, I think we had 5 turnovers in that one game. And even with all that, we still had a chance. I remember Adam Humphries was taking a return across the 50, and son of a gun, he don't fumble the ball. And then Taj is going in, and he fumbles the ball. It was like we just had some tough breaks, but you got to give them some credit. I mean, they made plays, and they knocked them loose, and so it was pretty close. But you know, the biggest thing is you just got to keep playing. You know, you can't allow this game to define your program, even though the fans want to do that. I think as a coach, you have to look at the totality of your season. You know, and you're going to live with it, but are you making improvement? You know, those type of things. And so for me, that's what I tried to stay focused on. And a lot of times people didn't want to hear that, but I'm like, hey man, we just went 11-2. All right, we lost the game. We're not happy about that, but how about the progress we're making as a program? And if we continue to do these things, then hey, you know what? We'll get back and we'll make this more consistent and competitive. And so you can't let that game define you as a coach, and you can't let it define your team. You know, here's the reality. Don't listen to all the stuff, what everybody's opinions are, and the world is coming to an end, and you know, this and that. Don't just try not to do that, and say, here's the truth, here's the reality, here's what we have to do, and you just go to work at that. And so, you know, South Carolina is getting better. Will's doing a good job. I mean, they've recruited some really good players in there, and I think they're continuing to do that. So, you know, I don't have any doubt that this will be a very hard-fought game Saturday night. We're going to have to play well. I mean, it's just, they've got good backs, good receivers, good offensive line, good quarterback, good defensive line. They've been banged up, so we'll see who all comes back on the back end. But 16 is a really good player, 22. They've got a couple young guys, probably Horns coming back. I think he's a very talented player. Like I said, 6 has played a ton of football. You know, 8 was an all-conference player, you know, last year. So I think they've done a nice job, and you just got to, you know, I think you just worry about your program, worry about, you know, what your reality is, and don't let one game derail you, good or bad. You know, I mean, a lot of people, I used to have people tell me, if you went 1-11, we'll be happy. No, you won't. You'd be firing me right out of the gate. You know, you ain't going 1-11. You know, everybody say 11-2, and you lost to South Carolina, and people are miserable. Well, I think that's terrible. Personally, yeah, it stinks that you lost the game, but man, let's see a bigger picture and just keep working and don't panic. But you know, that's easier said than done in the world that we live in.
You touched on
Last one right here.
Okay, you touched on, you know, you may have a player that fits the character, fits the academics, fits what you're looking for, but you don't have a need for. How do you balance? You know, we've got a player that we really want, but we don't have a need for him. How much give and take leeway is there on each side with regards to that balance of that?
Well, I mean, I think you have to have discipline from a roster management standpoint, because if you don't, I mean, Brent would sign, you know, 52 defensive players if I'd let him. You know, so as the player personnel, GM, head coach, all those things, I have to manage our roster, and I got to make sure that you can't be afraid to let a good player go. I mean, that's why, you know, that's why I hold my coaches accountable. You better be right, you know, because we're not going to oversign and then figure out who we like and run them off and all that stuff. You know, don't ever complain about your players. You recruit them. So you better be right. Because when they come here, it's still graduation to depart. I mean, we're gonna develop our guys. If they're not good enough, that's our fault. You know, if he's a good kid, he works hard and does what he's supposed to do, he's maybe not quite good as we thought he'd be, that's on us. Let's help him be the best that he can be. That's just our philosophy. So that's the way we do it. So, I mean, you're gonna take 3 receivers, for example, all right? And we've got 3 committed that we love. And man, we could sign a lot more than 3 receivers around here, trust me. And I got 2 other great ones, but man, I need a tight end, I need another lineman, I need another running back, I need 2 more safeties, you know, whatever it is. Well, I can't just keep going and signing wideouts. Just because I got another great player that wants to come, or another great player wants to come, you can't do that. Because then you get totally out of whack. You know, so we have I have a number at every position. I manage the roster, and you know, we stick to it. And then occasionally, something may change late in the process. Maybe somebody leaves that you didn't know or whatever, or decides to whether go pro or decide they want to go somewhere else, whatever, somebody gets hurt, can't play anymore, well, then you might have a situation late where you say, okay, well, let's just take the best player, and because you feel good about where you are, and then you balance it. So, that's why, because you have to meet your needs at every position. So you might have 5 great wideouts in this state that can play for anybody in the country, but you got everybody back on your roster and you only got 2 seniors. Maybe all 5 want to come. Well, I wouldn't take all 5. I'd figure out who I think's the best 2, and that's who I'm taking. And you got to, because you know what? Next year's going to be good players too.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.